The awakening. The alarm shrieked through the cramped bridge of the salvage vessel Wanderer like a dying animal. Captain Marcus Kane jerked awake from his chair, coffee spilling across navigation charts that had seen better decades. His crew of 6 misfits barely looked up from their stations. After 30 years of scraping metal from dead battlefields, false alarms were as common as cosmic dust. "What's the reading, Torres?" Kane asked, wiping coffee from weathered hands. Elena Torres. His sensor operator frowned at her displays. Her fingers danced across controls that sparked occasionally. "Big energy signature, Captain, real big. Coming from grid section 7 Alpha. Define big. Reactor level big, maybe bigger." Torres paused, double-checking her readings. "Sir, this doesn't match anything in our database." Kane stood, joints protesting after years of low-gravity work. The Wanderer drifted through the Kepler graveyard, a massive debris field left over from the last Great War. Hundreds of ships from dozens of species lay scattered across millions of cubic kilometers. Most were picked clean decades ago, but sometimes gems still surfaced. "Could be a reactor going critical," suggested Hendricks, their engineer. The thin man nervously adjusted his thick glasses. "Delayed reaction from battle damage." "After 80 years?" Kane shook his head. "Navigate us closer. Slow and steady." The Wanderer pushed through twisted metal and frozen bodies. Space battles left ugly scars, and the Kepler graveyard was humanity's ugliest. This was where Earth's last great fleet had made its final stand against the coalition of worlds, where humanity had lost everything. "Captain," Torres whispered, "you need to see this." Kane moved to her station. The long-range scanner showed a massive shape buried beneath layers of destroyed ships and asteroid debris. It was enormous, easily dwarfing anything else in the graveyard. "How big?" Kane asked. "Conservative estimate. 12 kilometers long, 3 wide. Torres looked up, at him with wide eyes. "Captain, that's Titan class." The bridge went silent. Everyone knew the stories. Titan-class supercarriers were legends, supposedly the largest warships humanity ever built. Floating cities that could project power across entire star systems. Most people thought they were myths. Impossible. Hendricks breathed. The coalition destroyed them all, made sure of it. Kane studied the readings. His military training, buried under years of civilian salvage work, began to surface. Not all of them, apparently. Torres, scan for life signs. Scanning now. "Captain, I'm getting something. Faint, but definitely artificial. Could be automated systems. Or could be a trap," growled Vance, their security chief. The scarred veteran had fought in the border wars. Coalition might have left surprises behind. Kane considered this. The smart move was to mark the location and report it to the salvage authority. Let someone else deal with ancient warships and their secrets, but something pulled at him, a feeling he couldn't name. "Take us in closer. I want a full sweep." The Wanderer descended through the debris field. Broken hull plates and twisted metal created a maze around the buried Leviathan. As they drew near, Kane could make out the ship's general shape. Sleek, predatory, built for both beauty and destruction. "There," Torres pointed at her screen. "Docking. Bay portside. Looks intact." Kane made his decision. "Prep the boarding shuttle. Full kit." "Sir," Vance protested, "we don't know what's over there." "That's why we're going to find out." Kane headed for the exit. "Torres, monitor from here. Any sign of trouble, you get us out." 20 minutes later, Kane floated through the vacuum toward the ancient docking bay. The ship's hull stretched endlessly in both directions, black armor scarred by centuries of micro-impacts. As their shuttle approached, lights began flickering along the bay entrance. "It knows we're here," whispered Chen, their tech specialist. "All ships have proximity sensors," Kane replied, but his voice was tight. The lights seemed too organized, too purposeful. The docking bay iris opened with surprising smoothness. Ancient mechanisms that should have seized up decades ago moved, like they were brand new. The shuttle settled onto landing struts with a soft thud that echoed through the massive space. Kane was first out, magnetic boots clanking on metal deck plates. Emergency lighting cast everything in red shadows. The bay was huge, designed to service dozens of fighters and shuttles. Now it stood empty, except for their small craft. Atmosphere's breathable, Chen reported, checking his scanner. Old, but breathable. Gravity's at standard. They moved deeper into the ship, following corridors wide enough to march armies through. Everything was pristine, as if the ship had been in maintenance, rather than buried for decades. Their footsteps echoed in the silence. "Captain," Chen called from ahead, "you need to see this." Kane joined him at a junction where 3 corridors met. A holographic display flickered to life as they approached. Text scrolled past in old Earth standard. Proximity sensors activated human DNA signatures, detected initiating awakening protocols. It's scanning us, Kane realized. The display changed, showing a ship schematic. Massive, complex, armed with weapons Kane couldn't identify. At the top a name, UES Retribution. "Mother of God," breathed Vance. "It's really a Titan." The display shifted again. A face appeared, elderly but strong, wearing the uniform of Earth's old Navy. The image was clearly artificial, but the voice that spoke carried weight and authority. "I am Admiral Harrison Clark, commanding officer of the United Earthship Retribution. If you are seeing this message, then my ship has detected human presence after an extended period of dormancy." Kane felt his pulse quicken. Every child knew that name. Clark had been Earth's greatest naval commander, lost with his ship during the final battle. "Current date and time?" the AI continued. "Standard date 2387.4.15, Kane replied automatically. The AI paused, processing. 83 years, 4 months, 12 days since emergency shutdown. Status report. All primary systems functional. Crew complement 0. Mission parameters remain in effect. "What mission?" Kane asked. The AI's expression hardened. "Protection of humanity from coalition forces. Admiral Clark's final order was to wait, to sleep until needed." "You have awakened me, Captain." Marcus Kane, salvage vessel Wanderer. "Captain Kane, I require a situation report. What is the current status of the war?" Kane exchanged glances with his team. "How did you tell? A machine that the war was over? That humanity had lost everything? The war ended, Admiral. 80 years ago. Earth surrendered. The Coalition controls most of human space now." The AI was silent for long moments. When it spoke again, its voice carried something like sadness. "Then, I have failed in my duty. Admiral Clark trusted me to protect our people. I have slept while they suffered." "You couldn't have known," Kane said gently. "You were following orders. Orders from a dead man in a war that ended before I could fight." The AI's image flickered. "Captain Kane, I must ask, are humans still free anywhere? Are there colonies that resist coalition rule?" Kane thought of the dozen independent worlds scattered across the rim, struggling communities that barely survived, always looking over their shoulders for coalition patrol ships. Some, not many. They stay hidden, stay quiet. It's the only way to survive. "Survival is not living, Captain. Survival is simply not dying." The AI's voice grew stronger. "I am the last of the Titan fleet, the last weapon of Earth's Navy. Perhaps there is still purpose in my existence." Alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Emergency lights bathed everything in pulsing red. The AI's expression grew grim. "Coalition vessels detected. 3 cruiser-class ships approaching at high velocity. They have identified my awakening." Kane's blood turned cold. "How long until they arrive?" 17 minutes at current approach speed. Captain, I must inform you of my capabilities. This vessel carries enough firepower to destroy entire fleets. My weapon systems have been dormant but are now coming online." Through the ship's hull, Kane could feel vibrations as massive systems activated. The Retribution was waking up and it was angry. "What are your intentions, Admiral?" Kane asked. "To complete my mission. The Coalition drove humanity to the edge of extinction. They thought us defeated. Perhaps it is time to remind them why they feared us. The AI paused. But I will not act without human authorization. You are the senior human officer present. The choice is yours. Kane stared at the display. One word from him could restart a war that had ended before he was born. But he thought of the struggling colonies, of humans living in fear, of a galaxy that had forgotten humanity's strength. Admiral, Kane said quietly, what can one ship do against an entire galactic coalition? The AI smiled, and for the first time it looked truly human. Captain Kane, you are about to discover why they buried us so deep, why they made sure to tell the galaxy we were just myths. One Titan-class supercarrier isn't just a ship. It's hope. It's a promise that humanity will never truly kneel. The coalition ships dropped out of hyperspace 12 minutes later, weapons hot and ready to destroy whatever ancient relic had dared to wake up. They found the UES Retribution waiting for them, running lights blazing against the stars. And Captain Marcus Kane stood on the Bridge of Legend, about to help an ancient admiral remind the galaxy why humanity had once ruled the stars. The war was about to begin again. The Reckoning, the coalition cruisers, Vindictive, Sovereign, and Iron Fist emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with the authority of 1,000 worlds. Admiral Kethvar, the Vorthon commander of the task force, settled into his command chair with satisfaction. Another human relic to be destroyed, another potential threat eliminated. Scan the target, he ordered through his ship's universal translator. I want to know what we're dealing with. His tactical officer, a nervous Zilani with trembling tentacles, worked his controls frantically. Admiral, the energy readings. They're off the charts. Whatever that thing is, it's powering up weapon systems. Kethvar's 4 eyes narrowed. The humans had been broken 80 years ago, scattered to the galactic rim like leaves in a storm. They had no ships of this size, no technology that could threaten coalition forces. Open a channel, he commanded. The main screen shimmered, showing the bridge of the ancient human vessel. Kethvar expected to see desperate salvagers or perhaps a few military holdouts. Instead, he saw something that made his blood run cold. The bridge was vast, clearly designed for a ship of enormous size. A human in simple salvage gear stood beside a command chair that could have seated a giant. But it was the holographic figure that made Kethvar's breath catch. Admiral Harrison Clark, the Butcher of Proxima, the human who had held off 3 coalition fleets for 6 months during the siege of Earth's outer colonies. He was supposed to be dead. Coalition vessels. The human AI spoke with the voice that had once ordered the destruction of 100 alien warships. You are in violation of territorial space. Withdraw immediately. Kethvar composed himself. An AI, nothing more. A ghost, haunting an ancient ship. I am Admiral Kethvar of the Coalition Defense Force. The war ended 80 years ago. Humanity surrendered unconditionally. That vessel is considered a hazard to navigation and will be destroyed. The AI tilted its head slightly. Surrender. Admiral Clark left no such orders. This vessel remains under wartime protocols. The image turned to the human in salvage gear. Captain Kane, as the senior human officer present, do you recognize coalition authority over this vessel? Kane looked directly at the screen, and Kethvar saw something in the human's eyes that he didn't, like resolve, defiance. The same look humans had worn when they'd carved out an empire among the stars. No, Admiral, I do not. Then we remain at war. The AI's expression grew cold. Coalition vessels, you have 60 seconds to withdraw before I consider you hostile targets. Kethvar laughed, a sound like grinding metal through his translator. You are one ship, ancient, obsolete. We are 3 modern cruisers with the full authority of the coalition behind us. 50 seconds. Power weapons, Kethvar ordered. Target their bridge. 1 precise shot should end this charade. On the screen, the human called Kane was moving around the vast bridge. Other figures appeared, clearly his salvage crew. But they moved with purpose now, taking positions at control stations that had waited decades for human hands. Admiral, Kane said to the AI. Ship status? All primary systems online. Weapons charging to full capacity. Fighter bays sealed but ready. Shall I deploy our escort? What? Escort? Kane asked. The AI smiled. Captain, you didn't think a Titan-class vessel traveled alone, did you? Space around the Retribution shimmered. Slowly, like predators emerging from deep water, shapes began to materialize. Smaller ships, sleek and deadly, dropping their stealth systems. A dozen destroyers and frigates, all bearing the markings of Earth's old navy. Kethvar stared in shock. Impossible. The entire fleet was destroyed. We made sure. 30 seconds, the AI announced calmly. Sir, the tactical officer called out. I'm reading massive energy buildup from the target. They're weapons. Admiral, I've never seen power readings like this. Kethvar's confidence began to crack. The human ship was enormous, easily 3 times the size of a coalition cruiser. If it was truly functional. Open fire, he ordered. All ships full barrage. The 3 coalition cruisers unleashed everything they had. Plasma bolts, particle beams, and kinetic rounds streaked across space toward the ancient human vessel. The weapons struck and simply vanished against energy shields that blazed like captured stars. Time expired, the AI announced. What happened? Next would be remembered in history books across the galaxy. The UES Retribution fired. Its main spinal cannon, a weapon the size of a city block, discharged a beam of pure energy that crossed the distance between ships in an instant. The Vindictive simply ceased to exist, vaporized so completely that not even debris remained. The escort ships opened fire simultaneously. Weapons that had been cutting edge during humanity's golden age proved they had lost none of their bite. The Iron Fist broke apart under concentrated fire from 3 destroyers, its hull peeling away like flower petals. Only the Sovereign remained, and Kethvar found himself staring at death incarnate. Coalition vessel. The AI's voice was calm, reasonable. You have witnessed the fate of those who threaten humanity. Withdraw now, and carry word to your masters. The age of human submission is over. Kethvar's hands shook as he gave the order to retreat. The Sovereign jumped to hyperspace, carrying news that would shake the Coalition to its foundations. On the bridge of the Retribution, Kane stared at the empty space where 3 warships had been. The power he'd just witnessed was beyond comprehension. Admiral, he said quietly, what have we just started? The AI turned to him, and for a moment Kane saw not a machine but a tired old man who'd carried too much weight for too long. We have reminded the galaxy that humanity is not extinct, that we are not sheep to be herded and controlled. The AI gestured to the displays showing Coalition territory. For 80 years, our people have lived in shadows, forbidden to build, forbidden to grow, forbidden to dream of anything beyond mere survival. But now they will remember why they feared us, why they needed 300 worlds to defeat one, why they made sure to bury ships like this so deep that even we forgot they existed. The comm system crackled to life. Voices began filtering in from across human space. Colony governors, ship captains, mining foremen. Word was spreading faster than light through the old networks humanity had thought forgotten. Is it true? Came a transmission from New Texas. Is there really a Titan-class ship out there? The Coalition fleet at Kepler just jumped to hyperspace, reported a freighter captain. They're running scared. What's happening? Kane took a breath and opened a general broadcast channel. His voice carried to every human settlement within 50 light-years. This is Captain Marcus Kane aboard the United Earth ship Retribution. The stories you heard as children were true. The fleet your grandparents spoke of in whispers still exists. And today we reminded the galaxy that humanity will never again bow to those who would cage us. The response was immediate. Ships began changing course, heading for the Kepler graveyard. Not just freighters and miners, but converted warships that had been disguised as civilian craft. Captains who still remembered the old military codes. Crews who had kept their ancestors' uniforms hidden in cargo holds. Within hours, a fleet was gathering. Not the ragtag collection of desperate survivors the Coalition expected, but the hidden strength of humanity itself. Admiral Clark's AI stood at the center of it all, coordinating movements, sharing tactical data, preparing for the war that had never truly ended. They will come in force now, the AI told Kane as they watched more ships arrive. The full might of the coalition, 300 worlds against one species. Kane nodded. Same odds as last time. Last time we lost. Last time, Kane replied, we fought to defend what we had. This time we fight to reclaim what they took. The AI considered this. Admiral Clark would have liked you, Captain. He always said the best battles were fought not for territory or resources, but for the right to determine our own destiny. In the depths of coalition space, emergency sessions were being called. Fleets were being mobilized. The news of the retributions, return sent shockwaves through every member species. But in the Kepler graveyard, surrounded by the wreckage of humanity's last stand, a new chapter was beginning. The UES Retribution and her escort stood ready, their weapons charged, their crews prepared. The galaxy had spent 80 years believing humanity was finished. Now it was time to discover how wrong they had been. Captain Marcus Kane stood on the bridge of legend, watching the stars, knowing that somewhere out there, the coalition was. Preparing for war, let them come, humanity was ready. The age of hiding was over, the age of reckoning had begun.